G'day folks, the Aussie Traveler here with just a little bit of news, a little update on what's happening in March for tourists into Indonesia. So, since the last show, the good news is that Australia will be able to start flying directly from Sydney and Melbourne into Denpasar, and that's happening, I think, from the 4th of March. There's a couple of airline companies that's doing that. I'm going to do a whole show on that shortly because there's a little bit to explain, but that is happening. You can go online now and start booking those flights. The other thing at the moment, and everyone's talking about, especially in the governments over there, is the quarantine. Yes, you still have to quarantine at the moment in Indonesia, and especially those flights coming from Melbourne or Sydney into Denpasar, you'll have to quarantine there in a government-approved quarantine hotel. Can be a little expensive. I will put a link down the bottom there to some of these, or all of them actually, all the hotels that you can quarantine at, and you need to do some research on those because some of them are quite expensive. There's also, bubble hotels that you can go and stay there for quarantine for 3 days or 5 days depending on your vaccination level. The bubble hotels is that you don't have to stay in your room. You can, go down and use the pool, and you can go to designated areas, where some of the other hotels are just isolation in rooms only, and you need to, kind of investigate that for yourselves, which one suits you best, because price does start, from here and goes way up to there. So you just need to be aware of that. But come April, it's been made quite clear, and you can Google this, that it looks like the quarantine is going to be squashed. It's not going to happen, and it may be happening sooner. The governor there of Indonesia, of Bali, is put an appeal in to get that quarantine down to 0. Is it going to happen in March? Well, it could do. He's put a good case towards them. So I know they're looking at it, and believe it or not, despite what people are saying, the COVID levels in Bali are actually pretty good. The hospitals are pretty good. Everything's going quite well. So they will look at that. Plus, we've got other things happening over there in Indonesia at the moment, like the Moto Grand Prix. That's happening there in Lombok from the 18th to the 21st, I think. So they'd like to get people to that. That's happening. We've got the G20 happening over there. So lots of things happening over there that we really need that quarantine level to disappear. And it's going to. Is it going to happen early in March? Might not happen as soon as that, but it is going to happen, and it will be, I think, before April. So that's good news. Also, they're really talking about as well is the visa, the free visa application. Like it used to be, you could just land up there in Bali and get 30 days for free, as long as you didn't stay over that period, or you didn't need to work in Bali or go to school or something like that. Then the 30-day holiday was free. Is that coming back? Well, it looks like it is, but they haven't given us a date on that yet, and I know they're only just talking about it. Again, it's one of those essential things. If they want Australians and people from around the world to holiday there in Indonesia, they need to get back to that system where people are comfortable in coming into Indonesia, not having to pay money at the moment. You can get into Indonesia right now, but you need to do that B211 business visa, or not to be confused with the B211A tourist visa. They're very much the same, but they are different. So and they require, you know, bits and pieces. That's very annoying to do. Sponsorships, and you've got to have certain amounts of money in the bank, and you've also got to have insurances to a certain value and all those sort of things. And this is easily found on their website if you want to have a look or talk to an agent. It's quite confusing at the moment. Also, PCR tests. You've got to get a PCR test 48 hours before you land in Indonesia, and then you'll get another PCR test when you land, and then in quarantine you're going to have one before and afterwards and that sort of thing. So look, it's a little bit tricky at the moment to do, but is that going to change? Well, they are talking about it, and this is good news. Is it going to happen early in March? Well, I don't know if it's going to happen that fast, but they are talking about it. So just keep your eyes out on the social medias and the news, and I'll try and keep up to date with it as well. The people that I talk to in the 3 levels of government over there certainly isn't saying too much. They are saying that it is happening, but they can't give me a date. And I've been down that road before where they have given me dates and then they've changed it. Makes me look like a goose. So I'm not going to quote it anymore. But also spoke to the airline companies, the ones that are about to travel into Indonesia or Bali. Denpasar there from Melbourne and Sydney. Looks like that's going ahead. I think that's starting from the 4th of March. I think the first lot's going to start landing, but I am going to do a show on that. So stay tuned for that. So not much more to say at the moment, apart from we're getting closer, one step forward to it coming back to normal into Indonesia for holidays anyway. I'll be there on the 4th of March. I'm going in on my B211 business visa. I have to quarantine for 3 days. I'll have to go and get my PCR tests all up to scratch and ready to go. I'll also have to have my insurance. There's a couple of online things we've got to do. The e-hack, I've got to get that done, and I'll run all through that when I do that show. When I'm about to leave, I'm going to do a designated show on just me leaving Australia and into Indonesia. So that will happen, and it will happen around the 4th, I'd say, because that's when I'll need to start recording it, and I want to do it live so people realise that what I'm doing they may have to do as well. Thanks for watching. I'm the Aussie Traveller. Take care.